know. We criticize a lot of teams, and they are the top 16 teams in A, without a doubt. That's why they're here. That's why we have the whole qualification relegation process to prove that. But even within the top 16, it's just night and day looking at the top and the bottom of the leaderboard.
Match number one. We are ready to rock.
One.
We are ready to rock and roll. And we're going from the south all the way north, going from the military base all the way up through George. Now, the right side of the map, a little bit harder to get to. But, you know, instead of the broad statements about who needs to do what, my focus are on teams like Wildcard and Envy, who are kind of battling right now for that 10th, 11th spot. Now, both of those squads have the potential to have one of those. Envy did it themselves. That's the team we're talking about. They could potentially have one of those 60-point days. And if you're Envy or if you're Wildcard, that can't be the goal because, you know, 22 kill games are hard to come by.
Yeah.
But they need to really solidify and make the most out of today.
Looking at the map, the first thing I did notice was Lazarus actually dropping in military base because the plane did start in the south. These guys routinely struggle getting into the southern circles, which we've seen a lot of. And even if the circle isn't a southern circle, this will give them advantage on timing. United, on the other hand, they are going in their usual mid spot, but it's another southern circle.
I actually had a chance to talk with Dids, the coach of Lazarus, just before we started the broadcast. And he said something that they're going to be working on today that they've been struggling with are dealing with the southern zones like Military and Milta. So I think seeing them jump out in this stage is kind of indicative of that they don't want to be put in a position where they're having to have those long first phase rotates, which they have been struggling with so far.
Now, this isn't the first time that they've dropped Millie base, and actually I believe it was during the Royale that we saw them lose 2 players right off the bat from Accelerate. So this is something that they've been slowly working on, and it's been a varied success, but hopefully the unfortunate 2 kills against them during Royale, it was a learning process, and then they can tighten up those initial rotations because it was a very similar circle when that happened as this one.
So for Lazarus, we're expecting to see some changes, but for Wildcard, it's been quiet for them. This is a team that we've seen kind of blow up, but they're streaky, I would say, would be my one diagnosis of the squad. But they have the talent. Caden taking to Twitter once again, stating that he's not happy with his individual performance. And as a team, I don't think anybody's happy with where they're sitting right now, having fallen off a little bit from last phase so far. And with only 1 weekend left to go, today has got to be a big day for Wildcard.
It's really strange about Wildcard because they routinely will have 1 or 2 minimum really good games. But because their average game seems to be below par, it doesn't do too much. Those good games don't do too much to keep them out of sort of the middle or the middle bottom of the leaderboard. It's just like it's really kind of frustrating to watch them because they're all such good players. It's just figuring out, as a viewer, but also them trying to figure out what they need to do to key into those moments that make them stand out, that make them shine.
United in their vehicles landing a little bit late. They're going to stick to the strategy. They're headed outside the zone towards that Lepovka prison shelter area to start their loot phase. We are already 3.5 minutes into this game, which means like Cloud9 already 3.5 minutes. Cloud9 is out of Pachinki and they are moving center. Tempo Storm in a similar position. Cloud9 is not messing around. 3.5 minutes is ridiculously fast for Cloud9 to be out of Pachinki and into the center of the zone. That is something that I think has been such a massive advantage for this squad. Not to mention Tempo Storm. They're actually speeding things up in the early game as well. So for 2 of the top teams on the leaderboard, this is the reason why they are where they are, especially Cloud9's killing power. Today, I would love to see Cloud9 stay as active, stay as exciting as they have been, but try and stay alive as a unit a little bit longer. Now, I'm not saying that they're playing poorly in the end game, but I think if a full-strength Cloud9 is still around in the top 5, you have got to watch out.
Yeah, it's almost like they're taking the reins from where Lazarus was in Phase 1. Where, as you said, if they're 4 alive in the top 4, well, there's a big chance they're going to win the game. It's happened multiple times at this point. H-Win holding on the hill, actually spotting out Tempo Storm. Don't know if they were spotted in return. They're not going to go aggressive at this point. It's too early for that, too long distance to cross for that as well. I think they're just in a little bit of a tight split with the 2 duos on opposite sides. Wildcard on their own move as well. They didn't have to travel far from their loot spot to get into this position, and I think they're going to be employing a split of their own. You can see Pride and Sharpshot on a buggy going to a different area of the map than the other 2.
Looks like Wildcard is going to be moving away, at least initially, from, maybe they're just going to set up a 2-2 like you just mentioned, Cam, but Simplicity, another team that's kind of been struggling. They are moving their way through the northern Pachinki fields and coming through the southern rotate with Denial there, but not really posing a threat just yet. Cherry Poppins coming to a quick stop now. Things are going to kick off a little bit. Crow making his presence known, but no support from the rest of Denial as Simplicity is going to veer off and continue their merry way.
Crow doing a good job going loud and making sure that Simplicity know that he is there. The rest of his backup is arriving in a good timing for Simplicity to not be able to cleanly take him out if they wanted to go aggressive. Mostly his maneuver there was to just make sure they didn't push on his position and hold it for Denial. But Simplicity, you can see them moving away from that compound. They stared down C9 a little bit, so they may be caught in an interesting situation.
I would have loved to have seen Simplicity. You have to know, I think, at least in some part of your mind with how C9 has typically split themselves up, that compound might have been a 1 or 2 person there. Now, obviously, you can't just push blind onto a compound.
Yeah.
Penta was scouting it out. But for Simplicity, big moves are going to be the only way for them to climb. That's Caden, rather, taking that shot with the Car 98 on transitioning Player 1 Esports. But that center density, you know, for Simplicity, they're not have to move too much. Wildcard finding themselves a hold in the warehouse. They're not going to have to move too much either. Pretty strong compound, but I think there's the whole team there, it looks like. Or only 2 so far.
Yeah, the other 2 are a little bit further west. Going back to Crow now, the rest of his team did group up with them. I think they put a couple more shots over Simplicity's way, and they're trying to fan out on their own merit. Just trying to get center circle. A lot of fighting over these center positions. And this terrain makes it available for everyone to actually get this close without taking these fights. Simplicity holding a nice little bowl for themselves can protect the tires on their vehicles, which is crucial in the early game of PUBG.
Just next to the church here, you said it, it's a good land cover. They got the church to flex up and get some more vision, but they are very interested in Cloud9 and the garage building that Nerf is currently occupying. Cloud9 holding real estate early, but they're not too far away from each other now. It's been interesting to see how Cloud9 sets themselves up in the early game. They do manage to hold on to some decent real estate and then, you know, clump up when the time is right. But typically that comes on the back of a gunfight, and the closest team to them right now is Tempo Storm, and the pressure coming from the northern side as well.
I like looking at Denial in center. Now that Simplicity left that hilltop just south of that compound, they actually sent 2 players out to gain a little more space, get a little more ground for themselves. It's good vision around that area. And so I really like that play from Denial, who have also been struggling. But Lazarus, they're camping the people who took care of
no, Adam!
Oh, no!
He was protected by... Accelerate is flying through. Alo will get Disciple down, but not before Adam is flushed out. Disciple will get flushed as well. This is a full-on trading situation. Lazarus setting a trap, but it's mutually assured destruction right now. Alo just firing away with the mini. Meanwhile, Accelerate is going to go down in 16th place. All 4 kills going to Lazarus, but what appeared to be a bridge camp went south in a hurry. Adam dodged the US bearing down on him, but not before getting flushed out. Now, that is a high-stakes play from Lazarus. They collect 4 very important points, but they will lose 2 players in the process.
But hey, getting those reliable 4 points in the early game is something that I'd like to see more teams try and do. You can see the risk of holding a camp like this. Accelerate actually turned it around a lot more effectively than I think anyone, much less Lazarus, expected. But Lazarus, they are constantly losing 1 or 2 players in the early game. Having that happen, but with 4 points to at least make it a trade, makes it a not unsuccessful early game. The next circle is going to center up pretty well. It's going to cut out all of the water, all of the military base. We're not going to have to even think about that nonsense anymore. I think just focus on dead center. You can immediately see Cloud9 moving. They're split. They're going to be grouping up. The northern half is not relevant to them anymore.
Alo and... it looks like Uncivil, the last 2 left alive for Lazarus, are sending it to a compound. This is a bold move for them. Envy in their vehicles as well nearby. Meanwhile, joining in with Pecadorus, they've got the open position. They're next to EU, or we're looking at United. They're at least within line of sight. But Taylor J and the rest of United are going to be vacating Pachinki, now headed center. This is where Cloud9 on the hilltop is going to be able to exert their dominance a little bit. They're going to have some good vision, and right now they're taking shots at Lazarus, I believe. Meanwhile, United are going to arrive in the barn compound. Nice hold for them just outside Pachinki, but they're on the edge of the zone with Cloud9 very close by.
We saw United play that exact same compound just yesterday, and it wasn't the most successful for them. The important thing to note about this circle is that there's still a lot of fields in play. Whether it's going to end in a field remains to be seen, but there's a fight breaking out between Wildcard and Envy.
Tumai unleashing with the SKS, taking Moody to half-life. He's going to be forced off. Looks like Interrogate took a lot of damage as well. They're now going to return fire, allow some time to med, get reset for this fight. It's a fight we've seen a lot, actually, on the southern side. No third-party potential, at least right now, not up close. So this should be a nice heavyweight matchup between two very important squads. They're right next to each other. Pat Cap's on the low side. He might be surprised by Wildcard on the high side. Not yet, but he's going to get the opening barrage onto Sharp Shot. Pride's going to have to defend. He will trade there. And maybe a quick res coming as Pat Caps doesn't have the support from his team just yet. Interrogate on the back line. Going to force Pride over. What a nice shot from Interrogate, taking Pride down. 2 down for Wildcard. The nades now starting to land the molly there as well. And someone's on fire. I believe that's Venerated. Caden now taking pressure from Moody on his flank. And this is looking like Envy has the upper hand as Venerated gets the nade onto Tumai. And Caden's got to escape. Now attention coming from elsewhere. All rests on Caden's back. It looks like Wildcard is getting cleaned up by Envy.
It was a good initial hold by Wildcard, but Pat Cap's flank, even though he got traded out with his first knock, gave Envy the advantage to push onto this, landed some great shots from range, Interrogate getting the second kill, and it's just going south once again for Wildcard. Envy, very little damage on those players.
We had some questions about how Wildcard would face adversity. A team that, you know, for some reason seems to struggle with just the cohesion of what are we doing wrong or what can we improve, and even sometimes identifying what they do right. And for Caden's sake, he's now the last man alive. He's going to have to go somewhere. And for now, it's just away from Envy. And probably, man, I don't know where he's going to send, unless he has a good idea on the southern side where he's going to go. It's going to be a deadly rotation here from Caden. He's sending it right through Tempo Storm, potentially Player One Esports. Not sure how far he wants to get. Maybe just a shack. Yes, indeed. Caden will be playing that shack life for the rest of this first round.
When you're a solo player, you want to get as center as possible because the more you have to move, the deadlier it is. And so it was good on him to recognize that the space above him was free, and there's his shack very, very close to center that he can take, getting well aware from Envy. Simplicity, though, they've taken over a space that I believe was just held by Cloud9, trying to send some shots towards other squads.
Really loving the placement of Cloud9. We'll see what this circle shift dictates. They're actually going to lose that hill, and this is where things get complicated if you're not Player One Esports or anyone on the left-hand side of the map. Bit of a hard shift coming in, as you can see here. So now, how many teams? It looks like at minimum 5 are going to be pushing across to try and find a center position. And now, if you're Caden, I wonder now if you try and move once again, because if you want to stay alive, you're going to have to stay center, and already teams are in their vehicles and moving. Simplicity moving north. They're going to be going for a sweeping rotate. Ghost Gaming up there as well. They're going to be coming into the zone for the first time, I believe. Now it looks like Envy is going to be potentially seeing Cloud9 on the southern side, so everyone in movement.
Yeah, United right now, they're going to be moving away from their compound, but they have, I think, the worst rotate out of everyone in this lobby. It hard shifted completely against them. They're going to go a swooping all the way around behind Picadores, behind Cloud9, behind Envy, but it's Zampra punishing a rotate from SSG. It's going to be Headshore taken down, who, for being SSG's MVP
they just went straight through the middle.
Yeah,
SSG is just sending it straight through the middle, and they're being punished. They're in a lot of trouble. They're going to come to a stop. They're almost out of their vehicles now. They're getting picked apart by Player One Esports. They went straight through the center. They didn't bother going south. They didn't bother going north. They went straight through the chopsticks area with Tempo Storm taking some shots. Now Player One Esports. Interesting topic about Space Station Gaming. This is a team that has by far used the most healing items out of anyone by about 100 heals. So this is a team that takes a lot of damage, but wow, that's a good reason why if you're going to be pushing rotates like that through the center of the zone. Lazarus, Simplicity still moving around. This is a hectic rotate into the fields of Gaka.
Driving through fields is always very disastrous, but I actually like SSG's rotate. They only had one vehicle, which you could criticize why that happened, but the fact remains that they only had one vehicle, and so they saw that they had the timing to go dead center was the safest rotation. They tried to go and loop around. There was a huge likelihood of them running to someone else along the perimeter, so they saw it open. They did take a little bit of damage. They lost Headshore, but they made it center. There was a successful rotate by them.
Battered but not broken. Lazarus, they picked up another point on Moody. The rest of Envy is going to be arriving to the south of Lazarus. Meanwhile, Simplicity still in their vehicles. They've gone all the way north, and they're going to be running into, ooh, here's Space Station Gaming, taking a lot of shots at the transitioning Pecadorus. The lead vehicle taking most of the damage. The other two going to try and veer off. A nice headshot landing from J-Sank. More damage landing into that vehicle. Not quite enough to get them down, but Vexel is very low. Pecadorus going to be headed right towards Player One Esports. Vox are going to find him first, and now it's going to be a full-on stop for Vexel as Space Station Gaming, having taken pressure themselves, are now going to return a bit onto Pecadorus.
What does Smurf do? He's looked like he was going to continue driving. I don't know if he's going to turn around and help his teammates or just try and grab a center position. Baja trying to flex on top of that hill. McLovin, though, the new pickup for Pecadora, is trying to punish that extension. Not going to get too many shots, but M24 at the ready. Baja wants to go aggressive. They know that the vehicle's blown up. They know that Pecadores are stuck behind this position. No way to move out in the vehicle. More smoke's coming out from Pecadores to leave. But if SSG push heavily onto this fight, this could be a good couple of points on the pickup because they do have the circle. They're on the edge. But Pecadores are the ones that are going to have to move in.
Not too much pressure coming from other teams in the area. Lazarus, with only 2 strong, probably not interested in flexing out to find a fight just yet. So with Pecadores scattered, Space Station Gaming looking to pick up some points. Meanwhile, Tempo Storm, they're on foot. They're moving towards this fight. I would not be surprised to see Tempo Storm wanting to get involved here on the edge of the zone. Player One Esports still has their compound. They're looking this direction as well. So for Pecadores, they are kind of in a really tough spot as they have no vehicles to flex with, and they have just made it inside the zone. Pecadores, I mean, they're scattered, but how do they rejoin now?
It was good pathing to separate the line of sight from SSG, but you can see that they're get spotted out by Player One. Player One, though, it looks like they're a little distracted, but they're going to have to watch their own perimeter, Pecadores, because Maluk is pushing up with the rest of Tempo Storm not far behind. It's going to be the 4th player arriving in a vehicle. Don't know if Pecadores heard that, but SSG sending a couple of shots onto the newly arriving team is actually going to push Tempo Storm up, and they spot out Pecadores.
Maluk opening up with the SKS, and there's going to be the down from Dre. Now Vexel is going to have to likely just retreat. Player One Esports, however, will clean him up. There's just nowhere for them to go here on the edge of the zone. They are basically sandwiched between Space Station Gaming, Tempo Storm, and Player One Esports. Envy sending it to the center of the zone. They might be getting some pressure as well. Shrimzy spotting them out. Ghost Gaming relatively quiet so far. And you can hear the comms in the arena starting to heat up as that is Simplicity, who have seemingly been in their vehicles for the last little while, are now going to be stuck right next to Envy. They're crashing right into them. I believe a vehicle might have hit Interrogate, not before Cherry Poppins goes down. The quick flush likely coming for that singular point, and now the nade's going to come over. That's real damn close, and now Envy's in trouble. That nade's going to land real close to where they're set up. The vehicles are going to go up. Pat Cap's venerated, trying to defend as best they can. Another nade lands, venerated down. Pat Cap's holding on by a thread. He does get the shots on the check shooter. He wants that flush, but he also wants the res. Another nade coming over from Lobes. This is going horribly for Envy. That's going to land right in the pocket. Envy down 15th place.
Simplicity had no clue where to go, but honestly, I don't know how they got the advantage over Envy because Simplicity were way split off. You could see just how many teams were shooting onto both of these squads, trying to get into a little fight. Simplicity Lobes is the only one remaining, but he can go and use the cars set up, the car force set up by Envy. But right now, Tempo Storm is actually pushed up point blank to SSG. Is he even aware of this?
The crouch walking is happening. The window bars are in full effect, but not before Baja goes down, and Tempo Storm is again on the doorstep. They always want to be active. Meanwhile, Ghost and C9 also landing, or they're getting lined up rather. J-Sank will get a nade onto Dre, so it's a 1-for-1 right now, but SSG is trying his best, their best to defend rather, Cameron, as now Zampa on the edge of the zone, or on the edge of the building rather, still looking on the interior. He's not watching J-Sank, and the sprays are going to trade, but not before anyone goes down. Man, I love this intensity between these two squads. Tempo not 100% committed just yet, going for the res, and that is going to be back to full strength. Sharky and Zampa on the high side.
You always need to watch your perimeter. SSG saw Tempo Storm arrive, but when the next circle popped, they put so much attention on the center of the circle where Lazarus and Pecadores and that set of compounds that Tempo Storm just snuck up on them, and now they're being torn apart. Tempo Storm still 4 strong. J-Sank trying to hold off the push, gets one down, but immediately traded.
Maluk coming in for the flush. Tempo Storm appearing to get the upper hand on the weakened SSG. They did lose Hetro early in this game. Ghost Gaming and Cloud9 are right next to each other elsewhere in the zone. There's Caden. He's watching this all unfold in the front ground there. And now for Caden and Cloud9, having lost to only 1 point now. Ghost Gaming playing a factor. Endemics firing away. K-Mine catching an errant shot. Meanwhile, Lobes having crashed into Envy, is the only man dead center right now. And it looks like Cloud9 is going to be fighting for their lives as Ghost Gaming goes to reset, still with 3.
Ghost had that tower that C9 just took over. They flexed north to deal with another fight that was not on camera. We unfortunately didn't catch, but now C9 have taken this over. But this wouldn't be the hardest push for Ghost to take. The biggest thing they need to worry about are those shots coming in from center or the south of center, the compounds that are still being held by Pecadores, by Lazarus, by United. But Caden here, don't know how he's still alive. Don't exactly know how he got into the position that he is. He's been doing a world tour of these Gatka fields.
I mean, it's still a potential 0-point game for wildcard. Meanwhile, Ghost Gaming as well as Cloud9 still yet to finish up. This is Denial going down. They went out just after Envy here. It looks like Define is going to get himself a roasty finish as he just cooks in the interior. Non-plus that he is indeed on fire. United next to Lazarus. This is a complicated little area. Valley 8 also. The field mouse just chilling out by the fence line. Tempo Storm having finished up the cleanup. They're watching this compound with eager eyes as it's still inside the zone, and with it closing, the Rumblers are trying to find their way into the north, but they're doing cartwheels out in the fields of Gatka, and it's not going very well. Their gymnastics not as good as you might believe.
Look how populated this section of the circle is, and that's because this is one of the only few places that actually has hard cover. Unless there's a hard shift in this next shift, everyone's gonna have to go on the open field. But Valley 8, the lone snake from SSG, is able to avoid Tempo Storm.
He's not gonna take those shots. He knows there's multiple players right above him. We did see Ghost go down, and this is the 19-minute crunch, well, the 21-minute crunch at this stage. Pistol time unleashing, and just like that, Tempo immediately wiped by E United. It was just one fell swoop. They ran across, maybe thought it was clear, and they are completely wiped out by E United. Didn't even see that one coming. Valley 8, the last man standing still, has now got one more placement in the pocket.
This is no exaggeration. I think I blinked and I missed that entire E United Tempo Storm fight.
I think they blinked as well, and next thing you know, they're all staring at the end game screen. Meanwhile, Lobes did pick up a couple of kills. We saw Ghost Gaming go down to Cloud9 with a mixture, I believe, of Lobes' third party on the side of the hill on the western side. And now Cloud9 has got to make the next trek as well. And there is not a lot of real estate, Cameron, in this next zone.
Smurf is going to be in a lot of trouble because his building is the only building in this compound, and it is just barely inside. E United, as well as the remnants of Lazarus and Space Station Gaming, are probably going to push up to his position before long. On Civil there, you can see proning just in the side of the compound. Going to hope for a sneak attack, maybe get it down, maybe two, hopefully a flush or two in there. But it's not looking good for a lot of these solo players in the lobby.
It's going to be a crunch on the southern side. Meanwhile, K-Mine will go down. E United getting great sight lines, and they're going to try and figure how many points they can get. Already 4 from Tempo Storm. E United looking very good with 4 strong. I think they're one of the few on the southern side who have any strength left in the tank, as it's Uncivil, Smurf, and Valley 8, the solo players, with Caden and I believe whoever's trying to res K-Mine. And there goes Caden himself, so that's down to 11 teams. A lot of solos in play. Endemic and Rumblers, again, on the northern side, still tangling with Player One Esports trying to come out of their compound, setting the stage for the top 10 teams here at minute 23.
United pushing further. They actually don't care about the compound.
Where are you going to go? This field sucks, man. There's not a lot of places you can go to. Hoping for a ridge or a bump or a dip or anything.
Trying to use the smokes to push up and find something. Trying to get into the circle because so few teams are actually in that field. If they can get in there, find some sort of terrain, as you were alluding to, then maybe they can put up some sort of fight. But they know they're going to have to cross that road eventually, so might as well go now while everyone else is figuring out their own pathing.
There's really, it's only a slight increase in, or incline in the terrain. There are no dips on this side of the field. So for E United, they're just going to have to fight their way out. You can already see the Rumblers trying to do the same thing on the other side. They're getting picked apart by Geist. It is just an open field fight right now. There's a tree. They got that going for them at least. Valley 8, he's doing the impression that everyone else is going to be doing shortly here on the southern side of the Gatka fields. They're crawling. Boom is next to him. Boom, contractually obligated to be prone for at least half the game. And E United still
was that a smoke?
Yeah, it is 100% a smoke.
Okay.
As,
it looked round.
It's the smoke icon, which gives it away.
I asked before it bloomed.
Boom is now out of the prone position. He's looking to the edge of the zone. And Lobes, still with the grenades, is just holding his own little Alamo. I don't know what you want to call it in the center. I don't even think he's got a shack to hold on to. Maybe an outcropping.
No, it's a rock and 2 vehicles.
And here comes Taylor J landing the nades. Very skillful. Doesn't even have to see the enemies. And you can get some kills. Just keep chucking them over there. Just like that. 2 kills going to E United.
Hey, but they had to push aggressively to get into that position in the first place.
Absolutely.
We saw how risky it was.
You heard it.
No downs. They were able to use those smokes. A lot of usage of utility. Taylor J has no smokes left, so it's all going to be just a firefight from here on out. But look, they finally have an incline to play with now that they've taken out C9.
There's the 1 second fight between E United and Tempo Storm. We only caught the last kill. That's how fast it happens. You know how it is in PUBG. 4 seconds later, you're just dead. Meanwhile, the United boys have found a slight little ridge to use, but it's basically just a transition into another giant open field. And they're looking back towards Lazarus. Uncivil still alive, now in the top 7. I think for Lazarus, they wanted to get to that coveted 7-8 point plateau, but I think they're going to probably be exiting this game with only a couple in the kitty, and they're going to be surprised by Smurf. 2 points for him, and he's going to be finished off by E United. And just like that, we're down to 5.
Yeah, it was a nice little point for Smurf to pick up, but there's no way he was going to get out of that position alive. Thankful for the quick little handout from Lazarus. But E United still 4 strong and already 8 kills. This is looking like a great game for them. This is looking like the E United that we saw in the very beginning of the phase.
A lot of space on their southwestern side, trying to use whatever little terrain they have, and here comes the vehicle for it from Endemic. This is the play in these open situations. Crispier gonna get taken down by D-Treats. Hopefully they can try and get a res onto that. So right now it's looking like the full strength squad of Player One Esports with a side of Endemic and E United as I believe that's Boom trying to send his way into the field, trying to find a place to go prone. 2 down now for E United. Smokes up, res is coming. E United doesn't have a lot of opportunity to punish this considering how far they'd have to run. So for now, it's going to be a matter of the circle. Who gets the advantage here with this next shift upcoming? There goes Boom. Lobes still desperately holding on. He's got a used car lot as cover. So Lobes has got to be feeling relatively safe, and he might even get the advantage of this next zone. He's actually got a great spot. If someone could overtake Lobes, they'd have a porta-fort, if you will. And now for, man, E United, I wonder what their next step is. They're trying to displace Lobes from the looks of it.
Get more kills. That's what they've been doing, and that's what they're going to have to continue to do. That's going to center up, relatively center, a little bit towards the southeast, which gives a marginal advantage to E United and Player One. But Endemic, they're getting in their vehicles, and they are pushing out. They are wrapping around counterclockwise, and they may be pushing directly into E United. These teams, more than likely, know where every other team is at this point. Everyone has had to go so loud to carve out space for them.
Oh, baby, D-Treats over the top with the SKS. Nice headshot onto Pistola time. E United has been rotating, but again, these open fields, it's all about execution. And for Endemic, they've been using their vehicles. Lobes has just been chucking blind grenades, but to high effect. And when it's been working for him, so he's going to keep doing it. He's got the bodies to pick through if he needs any extra. Player One Esports still 4 strong. They've got just a sliver of a cover to work with on their side of the zone. And I think this one's going the distance here, Cameron, with still 13 alive.
Yeah, I'm actually very surprised that these teams are able to keep 4 up.
Come left with me.
This is E United's comms. Let's see what they have to say.
I can knock P1E, but I don't see them.
I'm shooting P1E. I'm shooting P1E.
P1E is knock. P1E is knock. I'm sending it.
I knock P1E. I knock P1E.
Let's go.
Oh my goodness, that is clear comms.
I'm already up close. I'm gonna see if I can knock.
I fucked up.
Okay, it's okay. Just give info for us.
Endemic's far left.
I cannot kill Rocket, maybe.
No, let's kill P1E. That's 2 knocks, right? Yeah, P1E is 2 knocks.
Okay.
One right over that ridge, 40.
Yes.
Right over that ridge,
push
40.
I'm
gonna nade over. I'm nading over right now.
Nade, do it. Use your utility.
I have no
Watch out.
utility. Far right, peeking. I got knocked.
Where the other straight?
2 guys, far right.
Knock one.
Okay,
nice.
nice.
Loading.
2 knocks.
One more.
Run behind us. I'm fucking good. Let's go, bro. Let's go.
Push
P1E.
P1E.
I'm reloading.
One is knocked.
Knock one more.
One more.
Yeah, one more.
Bro. Let's fucking go, bro.
You have 7 seconds. You can't res. Blue
I think no, I can. It's slow zone. It's slow zone.
I have no nades, no kills, so.
Can you grab their smokes and nades?
I don't know if we have time. Maybe.
Bro, I have to just crawl in here, like
Oh,
I'm fighting, just fight that! In the open!
Once
Nice.
tag twice on Rock.
I'm pulling for Lobes.
No,
I'm not
nothing
touching
on
my
this
body.
guy, nothing on this
Yeah,
guy. I'm
nothing on my
healing.
body. Just fight!
Yo, we can prone a little bit further southwest. We can prone a little bit
Go.
further southwest. Might be
Yeah, try to
2v4.
get second place here. I think there's 2 teams left.
It should be 2v4, but
Yeah, I'm gonna boost quick.
I don't know. They're not rushing us yet. They're not rushing
Yo,
us
I'm
yet.
gonna take time to bandy here for like a second.
Yeah. You have to listen for North.
I'll tell you about.
Tell me
I'll
about
tell you
blue.
for your
Out,
blue.
guys.
Yeah,
Oh my
thank you.
god.
I got your
I'm
blue
boosting.
on your ass,
I'm using
guys.
all my. I only have 10 bandages left.
You still have like 10 seconds on the blue, guys. You're good. A lot of
One
time.
more bandy to you.
You have a lot of time on your blue.
Oh my god.
Yo, let me one more energy sub. One more energy.
I think they're
I'm
so
looking.
solo
I need to
at
get
the
a knock
rock.
here.
The blue's on you now, guys. You need to move. You need to move. You're
Attacked
gonna
one
hit
twice and knocked. Twice and
So
Lobes
Right,
can
just
win
run,
this,
just
by
run,
the
guys.
way.
Keep going forward. Keep going forward. A little bit. Just try.
The nading.
Is it
I'm
coming?
going left. I'm going left. I have to do something insane. I'm
bro,
going
I'm
to
with
push
you.
left.
Let's
Like,
just
guys,
No,
wait
you
for
should,
you.
you
Let
should
guys
go
wait
right.
for
You
you.
should
He's
go
one
right.
shot.
'Cause I have to go left and get some
Okay.
shit knocks or something.
Crawling straight in.
Blue.
All right. Yeah, you want to just crawl?
I am.
Okay, look to your right. I'm going to peek these guys and I'm just going to take fucking 1v3 aim battle, okay? I think that's all I can really do.
Yeah, I'm gonna help you because I
All
want
right,
to feel.
are you... They're killing me. They jump on top of rock. It's endemic.
On top of rock.
Wait, I'm crawling?
Fuck.
Oh, we got third. Where's the last guy, bro?
Probably north.
Still Lobes, and he actually gets the first loss.
Oh, no,
And
let's
the
go.
flush.
Oh,
he gets one.
oh, that was damn close. And Demick takes the game in the end. 9 kills. Lobes was in prime position to do even more damage. Simplicity comes out of that with a ton of kills as well in the second place position. Wow, what a tense endgame for E United. You can tell Stab, he has one mode, and that is just a 1v3, apparently. What an endgame there. Endemic's got to be feeling it. That was a crazy finish.
Yet another win for Endemic, and I really like how when they noticed E United take that fight against Player One Esports, they took full advantage of that, pushed immediately onto the center. Lobes, for his own merit, played that very well as well. He didn't hide in the obvious spot inside those cards once he got into the late game position. He went outside, played in the bush, and he didn't take the shots until the very end. Tried to play for the win and made it so close, but for all those teams in the end game, a good number of kills for all of them.
I got to say, there was a chance for Lobes at the very